And after a chaotic run in Japan just a couple days ago, we go from these chaotic track car combinations to something that's going to feel very familiar to pretty much everybody except the drivers for another week of the World of Racing Pro Series. My name is Jackson Lambros. He's Sagar Bakshi. And Sagar, we're not going to waste too much time here because just 2 minutes and change here to go in qualifying. But it's the Bend Motorsports Park. It's the Holden Commodore V8 Supercar. Can't think of a better combo here to really test these drivers.
Yeah, a car track combo that I'm unfamiliar with, but the drivers sure are getting very familiar with the track and the conditions that they're facing. Ryan with a 151.9 already. Aaron just 0.2 back. Chris half a second back. William 0.6 back. And then we have Dylan holding the threshold for the best of the rest in 5th place.
Aaron Fritz, your fastest during pre-qualifying, putting down a 152.134. Not quite into that territory just yet. You get Chris Lovell just behind. It's a Pasadena 1-2 in that regard. William Rasmussen, the best of the Tustin boys, putting down a 152.584. But it is once again setting the stage for a Fitz Festival here, just about 100 kilometers, 60 miles southeast of Adelaide, one of the newest circuits we're visiting in our maiden running of the Pro Series, just broke ground in 2016, opened 7 years ago, January of 2018, host to the Bend Super Sprint Endurance Race, but most notably the Bend 500 for the Repco Supercar Championship. That's these V8 Commodore Supercars you are seeing on track right now. We mentioned it briefly before we went off air from Motegi last week. These cars are challenging, not a lot of assists, very much a drive by the pedals kind of machine. And when we go from some things that are a little bit more driver friendly, Formula 4 M2 Cup, you could not be more on the opposite end of the spectrum. So we ride on board here with Andrew Janus just a little bit further back than some of us might have expected. Continuing to pedal his way through with just 5 seconds to go here on qualifying. 15 cars tonight from, I believe, if my math is mathing correctly, that'll be 3 centers represented this evening.
Yeah, with 3 centers competing this evening, it's still anybody's ball game. Andrew Janus has some fierce competition. Ryan, Aaron, Chris, William, and Dylan are running better times. We typically don't see Andrew towards the mid-pack of these events. He's typically a front runner. That's how fierce the competition is with the Proto Series Championship, folks. It is the best of the best in Southern California, from Pasadena to Tustin, Phoenix, Kansas City, all being represented throughout this league. It is very interesting to see some of the fiercest of battles being taken place, and we've been privy to some of those battles, haven't we, Jackson?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you turn the clock back just a week ago, race 1, using the Caddy GTPs. I'm so used to calling them DPIs still, which, I mean, we're so deep into those regulations, I gotta fix that. But, I mean, a phenomenal drive to the front from Ryan Fritz, just getting by William Rasmussen at the buzzer. Phenomenal duel between those two to the very end, and then some hard drives to the front there between Ryan and Aaron, who really held the line. Big slide there from Ryan Fritz, and that's showing you just how difficult it is. Yeah, you've got a deck wing. Look at that slide there, coming out of turn number 18, and just sidestepping as he's trying to eke out as much delta as possible, north of 630 horsepower, with, I would imagine, with a slide like that, probably something with a low traction control, dropping a tire there into the grass, trying to find anything possible. Final corner, just a quick kink to the right, still Tokyo drifting that thing to the line, trying to find insurance over Aaron. Kind of knew he had the quickest time in getting to the line, and that was just a great showcase of how difficult these cars are going to be to drive. But we got such a great clinic of how close these guys can drive, regardless of car, with the GTPs yesterweek, I should say, at Motegi. I mean, you go all the way back to even the Ford Mustangs we saw at Portugal. I think this is going to be a very similar kind of racing environment here, Sagar.
I am Super excited to watch these V8 supercars go around the Bend, a track that I'm not too familiar with, but what I'm most excited about is the limited number of assists that are available to these drivers, but the amount of mechanical grip that will be available to them, as we saw Ryan go through the final pair of corners and absolutely get his car sideways. I'm just really eager to see more of that action, especially when it's wheel to wheel with the competitor next to them. I think we're in for a absolutely great event as usual with the Proto Series Championship so far. It has done nothing to disappoint me up until this point. A series that I would pay to watch even. So you guys are getting a treat on YouTube, whether you're watching it live or in the future. Thank you very much for joining us from everybody here at the AK Broadcasting booth. We really appreciate all the love and support. Give us a cheer in chat to let us know who you're rooting for. But right now, it's all up to Ryan, Aaron, Chris, William, Dylan, the top 5, Andrew, Ali, Troy, Christopher, Cody, Clay, Timothy, Spencer, Gerson, and Jeffrey, rounding out your 15 participants this evening.
So while we've got a little bit of downtime here, let's just fill you in a little bit more on the Bend Motorsports Park. Again, as previously mentioned, South Australia, relatively close to, I would say, Adelaide, but that would be like a Tustin to San Diego drive still. We're racing the international layout here. That is about 5 kilometers, just a tick over 3 miles, so 18 corners in total, ending with that right-hand flick we just saw at the end, but a great combination of high and medium speed corners. Not a lot of chicanes. This 1-2 combo you see just at the start here kind of checks up the field a little bit, but nothing too crazy. The Bend, which I now suppose we should call the Shell V-powered Motorsports Park here at the Bend. Shell just got the naming rights to it. Again, just under a decade old at this point, but a plethora of different amenities on this track. Not quite a thermal-esque track. I believed it was that way initially, but the amount of interchange, I almost want to call it an Australian Paul Ricard, because you've got so many different layouts to this circuit. The GT circuit featuring over 26 corners. They call it the Nürburgring of Australia because 7 kilometers, 5 miles long, but gets as small as some of the smaller club racing tracks that are well under a mile long. I believe that hosts kart racing as well. There's purpose-built kart tracks, there's drifting tracks, there's skid pads, there's a drag racing strip. So truly everything on tap here at the Bend Motorsports Park. And again, next week, getting to crunch time here in this championship. We'll take next week off for Halloween weekend. That's awesome because I'm actually running with Andrew Janus out to Rock Vegas at the Rio next weekend. And then we'll have 2 more races before we crown ourselves a Maiden Pro Series champion out here in Tustin, where hopefully we'll be trackside. We'll hope to figure something out with the folks at World of Racing. AK Esports UK would love to actually get boots on the ground. I know I'm a little bit closer to a center than you are, Sauger, but still something we've been talking about. Hopefully something we can work out there.
I'm willing to take a couple days off of work to drive down to Tustin. I've been threatening this for a long time to drive down there myself. This just gives me a good excuse to go down there and try out one of these amazing sim rigs, throw my service dog into a rig as well. They will be bound to have a great time. But you're absolutely right, Jackson. This track is one of the longest in the world, actually, when it's fully put together. It's quite interesting just reading up on it before the broadcast. There's actually 100 hotel rooms located right here above the paddock building overlooking the track, which is quite phenomenal when you think about it. I mean, I would pay to stay there, wouldn't you, Jackson?
Shades of Yas Marina with that massive hotel. I'm trying to remember what the ownership is now, but you've been to SoCal, very much shades of Arctic. All my Tustin guys at the center know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe a little bit less of the glitz and glamour. And I'm a fan of the function over the form. But again, just so much amenities here. I believe David Croft, when he visited a couple years ago prior to the season opener, was getting ready to call this the heaven, the Disneyland, if you will, for motor racing. Shout out to Troy Ferguson as well, who is also going to be at Rock Cup. I believe it's going to be VLR Junior for Janus. I was checking the entry list earlier this week. I believe it's Andrew in a VLR Junior, and then we'll have Troy Ferguson, I think, in a mini Swift. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Getting word from showrunner Donovan Janus here, but I'll be in the pits with the Rock Cup crew next week. But focusing back over here to track, so we talk about really quickly before we get started here. Been a very dominant past week for Ryan and especially Aaron Fritz, Aaron starting that second race, driving a little bit to the front and really holding it, and then Ryan doing a hard chargeback. So the two Fritzes really going at it here in the championship standing. Some really strong running there from both of them.
And they're going to be doing it again during heat number 2 as well, starting from P9 and P10 respectively in their order, because we are going to flip the top 10 from the qualifying order. Aaron and Ryan having to do the hard work for heat number 2 as usual, will be running in their best possible form to chop their way up through the field to get their good haul of points. Like you said, Jackson, or like you hinted about, we are rounding out the Pro Series Championship with the great finale coming up in 2 weeks' time from today, taking Halloween off for the children, of course, and then running things back come, that would be November, wouldn't it?
Just getting into November, yeah. So
November 6th.
I'll tell you what,
we're back.
Yes, November 6th, if I'm checking, yes. So we already do have the car track combo. We're going to keep that a secret, though, until we throw the checkered here for race 2. But just, I'll say this right now, giving you guys a hint, we are very much jumping into the unknown after this. Very much another bizarre car track combo. I think it's going to be phenomenal, but only one way to find out. Just getting the correction here from Donovan Janus. In 2 weeks, one more race in 2 weeks, and then another in 3 weeks.
Oh, so we have 2 more weeks of racing left to go. Okay, so we're skipping the 30th, but we still have racing on the 6th, and then we have racing on the 13th of November on that Thursday as well for, looks like World Kindness Day.
There we go.
If you didn't know, now you know, folks. Well,
so again, just talking a little bit really quickly, Sagar, about this V8 Supercar running the Holden Commodore V8. This is actually the previous generation before we've ran up before Holden jumped over to, or GM Australia, I suppose, ran over to the Camaro. It's been Camaro versus Mustang in the most recent generation, the 3rd generation, but running the Commodore from this middle 2nd generation, ran from about 2012, I believe, up until 2023. But this is obviously the most Australian one, but actually a very healthy field, one of the most healthy fields, formerly Australian touring cars, what became V8 supercars. Ford was running the Falcon, but you actually had Nissan with a V8 Ultima. You had Mercedes, I believe, running the C63 AMG, might have been the A-Class, I'm not sure. But you look back and there was actually interest from BMW. I believe Dodge wanted to, or Stellantis at that point wanted to try getting some skin in the game. But unfortunately, that major shakeup and the COVID pandemic put a lot of those plans behind. And now we're just starting to see that get built a little bit more once again. Toyota coming in with the GR Supra next year, that just having its first laps at Mount Panorama, I can English, a couple laps ago. But that is the beauty of V8 supercars. NASCAR obviously getting the most apples to apples comparison to this series, Sagar. And sure, we've had a lot of drivers jump over, but I feel like at an immediate glance, this maybe looks a little bit more familiar to what you might see on the road.
Oh, absolutely. This is probably the most familiar road car that we've seen. I mean, I don't know how many Astons you see in your day-to-day driving, but this is absolutely more my style. And it's more TCR-esque, if I may put it lightly.
There you go.
With a ton more horsepower, obviously. I think this is more my driving style than anything else. We were, of course, having some great fun toting around in some TCRs, Mike Niles and I, on Assetto Corsa recently and just having an absolute blast. The amount of grip that you get, the mechanical stability that's just existing naturally in these vehicles. It is so much fun to just tote around anywhere from LA canyons to an awesome road course like the Bend. And this just reminds me of that. The driving stature, the ability to be able to drift and regain control of the vehicle. It just really is all coming to fruition right in front of my eyes.
Part of the beauty of Assetto Corsa and why we still choose to run a game that is, I believe, just at the end of this month, getting into double digits in age, just that level of flexibility that we see. And we're about to see that in full display out on track, out onto the grid here for race number 1 in all Fritz. Front row, Ryan on the inside, Aaron on the outside, Chris Lovell, William Rasmussen just behind, trying to close that comfortable lead that Ryan has in this championship. 6 lights coming on, and when they come out, we're going for race number 7 in South Australia. Let's do it.
Oh, big wiggle coming down the straightaway into turn number 1. That looks like Aaron loses out his way behind Chris now, who's on the outside optimum line. And actually that's William on the inside line, forcing Aaron to go a little bit deep. And there is a little bit of turmoil further back as Troy kicks up some pocket sand to the drivers behind, coming through turn 3 it looks like, but it's all up and up for the drivers on the lead of this race. A little bit of side-by-side action. It's hard to tell who's who with the exact same liveries rolling around, but we'll do the best that we possibly can. Cody and Clay going wheel to wheel, and that's going to be Clay on the outside line with a big drift, and you love to see it coming into the hairpin bend, and that'll be turn number 6.
So not just no ABS, but again, very, very sensitive on the weight distribution. Gotta trail it, gotta be gentle with it. Spencer on the inside, I believe, as Ali tries to work it wide. This is coming through 11 and 12, the S's, as big benefit of these V8 supercars. These babies eat curbs for breakfast. Ali still trying to hold around the outside. Clay working back now just a little bit. And all of a sudden, you're already getting a great display of how comfortable these cars are running. Gerson just a little bit deep there coming into 13 as just locks up a smidge. Another moment there as I believe that's Troy or Dylan getting loose coming out of turn number 16. And again, we are absolutely going to butcher a couple names here because we are literally commentating every single car looking exactly the same. So our beg for you right now to try and cope with this as Cody now gets to the bumper of Troy. Troy really struggling at this start. Troy now running a little bit wide coming out of turn number 18 as we're watching Dylan now fend off from Cody.
And no number plates for good measure either, so usually that will be the call to action there as William gets passed by Chris, or William gets by Chris. A little bit of an over-under maneuver coming in through turn 2 and 3 it looks like. William Rasmussen secures P3 for himself in front of Chris Lavelle from Pasadena. The 2/10ths back though, so nothing really is over until the fat lady sings, and we've seen William and Chris go after it before on the final lap, and I'm sure we'll get another showing of that here tonight.
These two going way back like a car seat. Feels like every single time we've tuned in Thursday night, it's been Chris Lovell and William Rasmussen wheel to wheel, at least at some point. But Chris Lovell still looking for, I believe, what would be his 3rd podium of the year. Rasmussen just a little bit deep there. You saw him ramp up on the podiums, upset the car a smidgen. That'll open up the door to Chris as he tries to look to the inside of the long sweeping right-hander, turn 13. A little bit of a lockup there from William, continuing to struggle. And Chris says, thank you very much for P3, but William says not so fast. This becomes the inside line once we get to turn number 14. But Chris able to hang all of that momentum on the outside. Not quite. William lives to fight for another corner.
Amazing side-by-side battle for nearly 4 corners. That's yet to be concluded on this lap 2 of this 20-minute endurance race. And I call it an endurance race because the drivers are going to be sweating bullets for the next 20 minutes or so. Is this only lap 2? This is only lap 2. Holy Toledo, the driver is doing 153s right now. Feels like an eternity looking back. It'll be Aaron and Ryan going after it into turn 1, and a switchback for Ryan trying to get one over on his brother Aaron there. And a little bit of an overlap is going to be secured for that race position, but gets on the throttle a little early and gets that Holden sideways. And now it'll be a drag race through the kink of turn 5 on the way to the hairpin for turn number 6. And who's going to go for the late braking maneuver? Who's going to be bolder and braver? That will be Ryan Fritz on the inside line, but the switchback from Aaron, these two battling brothers are sure going to leave it all on the track.
You saw him go defensive there into turn number 12. That immediately opened up the door for Aaron to eke right on through with an over-under. And Aaron out like a cannon, already a 3/10 gap. You saw a little bit of a battle further up in the run into turn number 1. That was Chris, Andrew, Dylan, and Troy. That was going all the way down to the pit row. And we'll jump back to that, I believe, 4 or 5 cart freight train in just a little bit. But Ryan already starting to pedal here in the run to turn number 13. And off rip, I feel like we're already seeing guys kind of force each other into overdriving the car, carrying a little bit too much speed. Let's see if Dylan runs it wide, gets all the way on that green painted curbing on the outside as Troy slides on through for 6. Now Dylan with a big dive there. Further back, Cody tries to get into the mix. You got Ali and Clay T right in the mix as well. 5-car freight train, and I believe that is Dylan just getting into the front there, or just losing 7th to Troy on the inside. Now Dylan tries to swing back on the inside of turn number 17. Troy going wide into the grass, gets a big wiggle that checks everybody up here, Sagar.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff, but there is not a phenomenal run into the grass, and that'll be Dylan caught out there. Switch over to the lead battle for just a few moments as the wheels went off into the grass. That was all she wrote for Dylan. Unfortunately, Aaron re-secures P1, but for how long will this stand as they're separated by just 1/10 of a second on the racetrack?
Oh, Dylan Hilger, the OC kid, trying to come into this weekend as an underdog, and unfortunately will not be a part of this lead battle for race number 1. The Fitzes continue to throw haymakers against one another, and I'll tell you what, Sagar, the minute that these two break up, they have the opportunity to widen that gap if they work together. But I'm not sure if there was some kind of agreement before they jumped into the cockpits tonight, if first guy to win buys the other one dinner or whatnot, but they are continuing to go at it, and the Jaws music is starting to play because Chris Lovell and William Rasmussen are right there and closing that gap.
And yes, they are. 1.7 seconds being the gap between William and Ryan and Aaron in the lead of this race, but they might be a little too far back because William's a bit preoccupied with Chris in behind, and Aaron and Ryan are preoccupied with themselves right now and healthily in the lead of this endurance event, as the drivers are going to be sweating bullets coming into lap number 4 now. And there goes Aaron off at turn number 16, turn number 17 now, and this will be an all Fritz showdown. And this is going to allow actually William and Chris to back up into this pack, and then we're going to have a 4-way showdown for the lead of this event.
We're going to be starting to run out of grass on the outside of turn number 18 because everybody is just full oppo coming out of that final corner, drifting through the grass, trying to carry as much speed, maximize that run through the prime time overtaking opportunity of turn number 1. William Rasmussen on the scene, Chris Lovell right there as well. And now you got to ask, what's the approach for Rasmussen? If I'm Lovell, I'm just waiting and trying to see what William does first at this point. There might be pace, but there might not be the space. Both the Fritzes making it very easy here into turn number 6. A little bit of contact there as Ryan gets the front bumper into the tail of Aaron. But one Fritz loses the lead, another one gains it.
and it's looking pretty nippy here at the front. And look at that gap to the cars behind. This 4-car freight train is basically disappearing off into the sunset with an 8.8 second gap in front of Andrew in 5th place currently. That is absolutely phenomenal, showcasing the pace that these drivers have around this nearly 2-minute long lap.
Funnily enough, you look at the GM family of racing, both the Taylor brothers in the world of sports car racing, Ricky and Jordan, the twins, have battled with one another. They've been teammates with one another, very similar with both Aaron and Ryan, who have shared cockpits for endurance races, and now going head-to-head. Aaron with a little bit of a lockup there out of 17. This might give a shot to Ryan. It might give a shot to William, who might make it a Fritz sandwich. Fritz is the bread, I suppose, but William going very wide there, turning that final corner into a rallycross course. Aaron all the way to the middle of the racetrack, trying to force a serpentine kind of situation here into the first corner. Here comes Ryan Fritz with a lunge into turn number 1. Will he be able to clear him? Is there going to be contact between the two? Not yet. And these three now continue to go at it, with Chris Lovell right there waiting for an opportunity to pounce.
I am just absolutely speechless right now, enjoying the show that these drivers are putting on for us. We're nearly halfway through this event currently, but it's still all up for grabs with this 4-way battle continuing to breed more and more action than we've ever seen in the Proto Racing Championship. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Aaron leads over Ryan, then William and Chris, all lined up nose to tail. Basically 2 seconds separate the top 4 right now.
Feels like the most breathing room we've actually seen for the leader at this point, as it suddenly feels like Ryan has been thrown to the wolves, with William Rasmussen starting to get to that car's bumper. And just over a half second now for Aaron out in front, trying to make it 2 heat wins in a row very quickly. You see everyone still kind of learning the maximum levels of grip, the very edge of where you can make the track work, especially right there coming through turn number 13, but just able to get right on that green painted concrete. And you just saw a little bit of a clip from the grass there from Chris. It's learning how to drive this car at the very limit, roll that momentum, and kind of understand. In the words of Scott McLaughlin, it feels like there's some times where you're certainly driving the car, but we're seeing it here out of the final corner once again. Definitely feels like sometimes the car's driving you.
100%, and definitely the drivers are pushing as hard as they can out of that final corner. The grass obviously not slowing them down as much as you'd think it would. And there goes a move from Chris onto William. William with a bit of an undercut, bumps in the rump there, gets the position back. William up into 3rd position in front of Chris.
You could see Chris kind of stomp on the brakes there, knew he was deep, but still tried to almost park it on the apex to kill that shot of an over-under. But just like that, Rasmussen finds a way through, and Chris Lovell now becomes the 4th car in this pack. It's kind of split into a double-double here, because Aaron and Ryan have about 1.5 seconds of breathing room. So this kind of forces that coexistence between Aaron and Ryan, saying, hey, we got to stop battling each other if we want to give ourselves insurance for these two earlier. We still got 7.5 minutes, but if we spend, 5 of that just working with each other, we can get to the front. Cody and Troy are not having that level of agreement right now. They're going door to door for P7, I believe, and Troy on the inside of that long sweeping right-hander. Turn 7 to 10 is actually, you could argue it's one long sweeping right-hander there, but we call it technically 4 kind of flicks to the right. And Troy able to find the inside there and work his way through into 7.
Doing a good job keeping it calm, cool, and collected currently are the front runners. Cody is the meat of the sandwich between Troy and Clay currently. The battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th very much still on Ali, out of the lead by 7 seconds. We're seeing some pretty substantial gaps, but between the leaders right now, it's almost next to nothing. And it'll be a fast lap for Ryan with a 152.9 that last time around. And this might be a little showdown going in towards turn number 1. On the optimum line is Ryan, and he might get pushed out a little bit wide by his brother, and he gets over to the curb, mounts it, and loses all the traction and tries to go for an over-under through turn number 3, but can't get that one turned on very successfully.
Chop the nose off there, coming into turn number 5. Great opportunity here. Flick to the left of turn number 5 if you can carry that momentum and make a sneak move, maybe a late dive bomb coming into that left-handed hairpin of turn number 6. Ryan Fitz not thinking so just yet, but these two continuing to actually gain that gap by staying single file with one another. 2.1 seconds now from Ryan to Willie Rasmussen. But Ryan still not wasting any time to try and get to the front. You can see him taking different lines right now from Aaron, even through this complicated right-left complex of the S's, working out of turn 12. This is where we've seen a couple moves, but this is the fastest part of the racetrack. Just enough air to get that massive deck lid spoiler to start producing an eke of downforce in those high straightaways, high-speed straightaways, I should say, excuse me. So Ryan continuing to find a way around Aaron with just getting to 5 minutes to go here in our first race.
And that means we'll just get a handful or less laps remaining in this event. The 2x2 formation has started. Ryan and Aaron up at the front, the tip of the spear, the sharp of the knife. William and Chris battling it out for the best of the rest, P3 and onwards. Andrew Janice in 5th position currently with Ali 3/10 back. Let's take a look at this little battle, or hold on, we're going to have another battle going down into turn number 1 as William tries to cover off Chris from behind. Chris tries to turn in, but William just parked it on the apex there and challenged him for that position. Let's go back and look at Ali and Andrew now leading down into corner number 1. Ali is on the optimum line. Andrew's going a little bit deep and wide at corner number 1 and misses the gravel trap by just a hair. And that'll be Ali through into P number 5.
Ali continuing that charge to the front of the field, and the guy that came into this weekend qualifying 7th has found 2 more spots. That was before, but taking a look at your biggest movers, it's actually been Spencer who has gained a handful of positions, as well as Clay getting 3 apiece. Ali up 2 though already. Only guy that's actually stayed static is Andrew Janus.
Really surprising there. Andrew was up the 1 till his battle with Ali got challenged there, coming down to the wickets. It would seem like Ali is the driver with the more pace, or the better pace, over Andrew currently. Ryan and Aaron at the front end of the field, still separated by under a second currently. As we get down to, it'll be Mathy, this one plus 1 more if I'm not mistaken. Jackson, what do you think?
Something like that. I mean, you're just getting into that 140. Only one way to find out, but the 2 Fritzes still out in front. Ryan having a solid amount of real-life experience on track, that being, however, mostly on 2-wheeled stuff, doing a handful of track events at Button Willow and Willow Springs. And we've got another 2-car battle further back as Chris Lovell trying to take that spot back on the podium from William Rasmussen. Big dive into turn number 1. This always sets up the crossover, though, working out of 2 and 3. But William is able to make it work. Now goes a little bit deep once again. Another shot for Chris Lovell to try and eke on through here. The straightaway that isn't straight through turns 4 and 5. Chris really looking for a gap that might not be there. He likes the outside, coming into the hairpin and tries setting up that over-under. You can see William, though, again chopping the nose off. Big slide for Lovell, and is somehow able to gather it back up.
Absolute phenomenal racing going into the penultimate lap. Chris throwing everything he possibly could at the rear end of William Rasmussen's vehicle, but it just wasn't enough. But it's not over yet, as William continues to make more mistakes, mounting the curbs, getting this car a little bit more sideways than he'd like. Lovell is able to close down the gap from nearly a second back to under 7/10 of a second currently, and still closing down as William goes a little bit wide through that corner. He's setting himself up for a nice overtake coming down into turn number 1 again. Let's switch over to the leaders as they are half a second away from each other going into the final corner for the penultimate time here at the Bend.
Starting to get spicy here as we are well under the 2-minute warning for the first race at the Bend Motorsports Park. Ryan needs to set it up with a good run coming out of the final corner. He's got it and is trying to tuck up into the rear wing of that fellow Fritz out in front. Aaron drags it all the way down to the inside, trying to defend, forcing the long way around. So often we've seen that work. Haven't seen a lot of lockups and beach trips into turn number 1, and that mistake from Aaron is what's going to give the lead back over. Is he able to hold it, though? A little bit wide once again, coming through the hairpin of turn number 3. Aaron thought about trying to make that move back, but not just yet. Another good opportunity here as we work our way into turn 6. Might be the white flag this time by, but it's going to be very close. And a big dive there from Aaron to the outside of Ryan. Not wide enough, though, to really rule that momentum and make that stick coming into the fastest part of the racetrack, building up speed through the long, sweeping right-hander. It will be the checkered flag this time by.
It will be the checkered flag, but who's going to come out on top, as it's pretty close between Ryan and Aaron currently. 3/10 separate the two of them. One small mistake going into turn number 1 is all it took for Ryan to re-clinch P1, but now it'll be a look to the inside line for Aaron, but it won't be a leap and bound of faith there. He's still going to stay tucked into the rear wing of his brother, currently slipping in behind half a second and drifting through the final pair of corners. It looks like it'll be pretty close when we get to the line. Ryan out in the lead by 3/10 of a second. 4/10 is the margin. Will it be a mistake going into the final pair of corners? No, but it will be a drift, and now it's going to turn into a drag race for the final showdown, and that'll be one of the Fritzes on the inside line. Aaron licks the stamp and sends it on his brother. Ryan, worse for wear right now, with that little tiny lockup is all it took, and that'll be a drag race to the line with Aaron in front of his brother Ryan by less than 1/10 of a second in P2. William Rasmussen in 3rd place, Chris Lovell in 4th place, Andrew Janis finishing 14 seconds back in P5, followed by Ali in 6th.
He wiggles his way out. Andrew serpentining to the line for another top 5 finish. He'll start pretty much smack dab in the middle of that position. Was another drag race we missed further back as Chris was trying to get that spot back from Rasmussen at the buzzer, with just 3/10, just under 3/10 separating that group as well. Clay home in 8th, Spencer home in 9th, Chris 10th, then Jeffrey, Timothy, Dylan, Gerson, and Troy looking to round out your field. But oh my goodness, you knew it was going to be close in some regards. We definitely combed through the field and really figured out who has these cars most dialed in. But when you take away the assists, add a ton of power, you get the feeling that this is going to be difficult to drive. And the guys that really have that experience are able to apply it. And the big boys were able to really come out and apply that out in front. So Aaron Fritz taking that first heat win, but do not go anywhere because we're just about to heat things up for the second heat in a couple moments time. We'll flip the top 10 and run it all over again for another 20 minutes, and maybe with some more of this Tokyo Drifted action. Do not go anywhere. It's week number 7 of the World of Racing Pro Series here from the Bend Motorsports Park. Stay with us. Cody Welker and Christopher on the front row. And expect some hard charges to the front of the field. Are we able to see a repeat this Thursday night? Let's find out. Heat 2 is go.
And a gaggle of cars all going nearly 5 abreast as we come down in towards turn 1. This is looking awfully messy, and there is a very big lunge for the driver behind. That'll be Andrew Janis finding his way forward along with William Rasmussen all the way up into P2 and to P3 respectively. Holy Toledos, those are some late-breaking maneuvers coming in towards 1. Dylan and Chris, and that is someone off in the background. That is huge for what I believe is Christopher and Clay right now.
Yeah, Clay Hudson, and I think Christopher also getting collected, it looks like. A big moment we saw further back. Christopher still going, but some damage to that 11. We'll see if we can figure out how that incident unfolded. Dylan Hilger with a big cut to the inside, another car very off. Oh my goodness.
And I think we're going to get a race restart
telling me that is
here.
going to be, yeah, that is going to be a red flag, and I believe that is also going to be a rolling start. We will have to see, so we will re-rack them, restack them, and try again one more time. So, just trying again here. Chris Harrer and Cody Welker on the front row here. And if my briefing was correct, I believe it's going to be a rolling start. If not, we could be hauling butt right now. Only one way to find out as the lights go up, and it is a much slower roll to green, so we will indeed roll them off. That gives us time here to take a look at your starting grid here for the second race. Just a little bit more, it looks like, as it is Christopher, Cody, Christopher, Troy, Ollie, Dylan, Chris, Andrew, Ryan, William, and Aaron Fritz rounding out your top 10.
Further back, we're going to have Clay, Gerson, Spencer, and Timothy, with Jeffrey bringing up the rear end. All 15 participants of this event right now running, well, side by side, Noah's Ark formation currently, but it won't be that way for long as we get to the final corner. It's going to be a very long outlap for these drivers before we get to taking the actual green flag. Nearly 2 minutes on the clock will be depleted by the time we actually go racing here at the Bend, and it'll be a hoedown showdown of who's who. What an amazing start from Williams, starting in P8, working his way forward, as well as Andrew Janis working his way up from P5 into 2 and 3 respectively.
Real life track record here in the supercars. David Reynolds in 2019 in this very car, Holden Commodore, putting down a 149.4042. Not sure we're going to be able to get quite to that speed. These guys have struggled to even get down to the 50s. And again, different levels of tire grip there. That was on a different set of Dunlops. And oh boy, are we doing another standing start, or are we trying to do this one more time? We'll try and get that figured out, but we've sent the grid back to the start-finish line. And I believe that might have been due to some connection issues. We'll see. So again, 15 cars from all 4 centers. And I believe we are going to try and do one more clean getaway unless we are racing. Now, the wiggle in the tires there are telling me we're going to try that one more time. I believe that was a connection issue for a couple individuals there, and maybe a little bit of contact between a couple drivers. So we will now actually try that one more time.
And perhaps increasing the rate of speed that the drivers are going to make it to the end there. And that was definitely a oh no, oopsie daisies moment, as Christopher has to catch up to P1 currently, get back into his grid spot. And he's definitely going to have warmed up tires when the green flag drops here tonight at the Bend, that's for sure. And I'm sure he's not too pleased with the amount of damage that he's got on the rear end of that vehicle now.
That lockup from the back right, coming into turn number 6 and not helping either. And then also a little bit of bent sheet metal now for that 11 car out in front. So we will have to see how that affects them. Damage is permitted damage is simulated here, but to a fraction of what it actually would be in real life. And we cut the tire and fuel wear as well. But again, as we've seen, these cars have been very, very difficult to drive so far. I'd also mention first rolling start we've had tonight. Almost every single series we have actually ran, I believe barring the F4, has had standing starts. One of the unique things about V8 Supercars also having a grid start, whether it's for a sprint like the, I say sprint, but for a smaller event like the Bend 500, or even their marquee event, the Bathurst 1000, which I'm not sure if World of Racing has ever actually done a simulated Bathurst 1000. I would love
that would be
to run something like that at some point. 2026 plans. I suppose that happened just a couple weeks ago, and I believe it was I don't want to be tested on my Aussie Supercar knowledge right now because I'm not going to get you guys a good answer. But here we go. Coming out of turn number 18, we'll run it single file to the green, simulating it like we're coming out of a safety car. And Christopher Hare going to lead him to the green. And just like that, race 2 is a go.
Coming down in towards turn number 1, it looks like Christopher has a good lead over his opponent, or not for long, as Troy chops it up the inside line, but goes a little bit too deep and wide. Colliders with the rear end of Cody, and Cody falls worse for wear behind Ali. But we're going to go 3-4 abreast further back down the order through turn number 3, it looks like. But now it's all clean running for the drivers in the lead. Christopher leads Ali over Cody. This could be a good result for a man named Ali currently.
Ali showing really good pace earlier on in qualifying. Will he be able to hold it? Not if Andrew Janus has anything to say about it, with a big lunge into turn number 6. He's making moves just like we saw in the opening stanzas of our first attempt to the green, and is already up into P2. It's Ollie, William, Chris, and Cody now further behind. One car off further back. Believe it was Dylan with a little bit of a mishap working through the S's. And it's a big freight train, a lot of breathing room further back, and Andrew leading them all. Here comes Ollie with a swing back into turn number 13. Is he able to get through? He is.
Amazing looking overtakes, amazing pack battling going on right now. And there is a big lockup from Ali, and I think that would be Andrew getting collected in that as well. And it was Andrew getting collected in that. Now that promotes William and Ryan up into P2 and P3 respectively, currently running in that order. Now Aaron Fritz in P number 4, 4/10 back from Ryan Fritz, who have already made their way to the top of the grid right now, and only after one lap of running.
Trying to sweep the night. Big sidestep there from Ryan coming out of turn number 18. Further back, Cody trying to work his way to the front of the field. Horrendous start, unfortunately, for the number 1. We'll go 2 by 2 here. Coming into turn number 1, who's that with the big look on the inside? I think it's Dylan, who goes all the way to the white line, making it 3 abreast. It's actually Andrew Janus, who once again is making nuclear moves there. Into turn number 1, trying to drive back. Now gets turned by Dylan and Troy. Oh my goodness. Back and forth we go, and unfortunately for Andrew Janus, the boulder rolls back to the bottom of the hill. Oh my goodness.
Wow, that was a really unfortunate series of events for Andrew Janus. The big lockup going into turn number 13, and then there another big lockup for Andrew now as he falls further down the order into P10 he goes. But looking up front, it will be William and Ryan going toe-to-toe, blow for blow right now, separated by just 0.2 of a second. Even looking back at Aaron and Chris now, Chris Lovell going wheel-to-wheel with Aaron through the top of the key, and now towards turn number 13. We're going to find out who's later on the brakes. That is a late braking move from Aaron Fritz, but Chris Lovell with the switchback gets that one planted, and going into the following corner, they're going to continue their side-by-side squabble a little bit further down the order. That'll be Ali, who's still in the mix currently.
Ali Salame working in and out right now, has lost a couple of spots, but is definitely not out of this fight, as he is third in this kind of three-car freight train, back from Aaron and Chris. I'll tell you what, Ryan Fritz already looking for a way through, might have already found a way through. Further up, he's trying to take P2 away from Chris Lovell, or excuse me, the other Christopher, Chris Hare, with a big look to the inside. Here he goes, battle for P2 into turn number 1. No opportunity for a switchback. Ryan's got to make it stick wide, and he does. Christopher not able to make that move for second. Fritz up into P2 once again, and the other one, Aaron, just behind him.
Now under threat between, well, we can call it a Fritz sandwich now, can we? Christopher being the meat of that sandwich in the number 11 currently, just sandwiched right in between. There's a lockup from Ryan out in front currently, and there's another lockup from the driver behind. I believe that was Ali, who's now 2.5 seconds back from Chris out in the number 2. But this 4-pack Quattro really is running fairly well right now, with Ryan chasing down William out in P1. William doing a phenomenal job of getting into the lead of this race and trying to maintain it. For how long can he maintain that gap, as there's a couple wheels off, dipped into the grass, and that'll be a freight train galore for Aaron and Chris to try to charge their way through on Christopher, and they managed to do so at the first time of asking.
The twin Chris is putting the pressure on Aaron, but not able to get through. We saw that big bobble from Aaron there coming out of turn number 13, and was somehow able to defend. And looking at the timing screen, might have sacrificed a little bit of bumper to make that happen, but regardless, is able to hold on to it for the time being. Chris Lovell now looking for a way back on to the podium, back onto this prime opportunity. And you see guys kind of going a little bit earlier at the apex there, trying to make the diamond line and not get too far into the grass. Saw one group going too wide further back. I believe that is Troy and Ali. It is Ali trying to mount that comeback, and that would be Troy first on the menu. And Troy going very late into turn number 1, has to cut through the sand, makes it very easy. Cody Welker gonna make it a twofer for Troy.
Easy comings, easy goings right there for Ali to get that one done and dusted, when Troy was willing to make a mistake like that, leading down into towards turn number 1. A little kiss of the kitty litter there is all it took for Ali to find his way through, as Troy makes another mistake, locks up the brakes, nearly runs into the back of Cody. Andrew Janis is charging his way back through, a little side-by-side action through the quadruple right-hander, the carousel as it were, in one of the fastest parts of the racetrack. And a little kiss to the rear end there from Andrew into Troy, as he tries to find his way through the Commodore out in front, but just unable to find the daylight between them.
That is what racing 206s and KAs will teach you to do, using the chrome horn to try and maybe get someone guy just the right amount of ethical to kind of give him the Dale Senior bump and run there. So continuing to try and make that work on one of his karting rivals, Troy Ferguson, with a look to the inside. Troy sees him, but still tries to go as low as possible. They'll go door to door, and Ferguson in the 13 just in front, able to hold on. But Dylan right there in the picture as well. Here comes Dylan Hilger. You can see everyone defending. Big nudge. I believe Andrew goes wide. Now Dylan has a big slide. Everybody's overdriving it, and that stacks this whole field up from 9th pretty much back to 15th.
Absolutely crazy pack battling we're seeing right now. And we have even better battling at the very end of the field. Clay and Jeffrey going wheel to wheel coming out of the final corner. That might be a little two-way squabble for P not last at the end of the day. More battling coming up forward as Dylan goes off at turn 1. His trip through the kitty litter and through the grass is a little bit egregious there, if I do say so myself. And the rejoin is not too sharp, but rejoining the racetrack he does. Let's look at the tip of the spear again, as Ryan and William are separated by just 0.2 of a second.
So all of a sudden, Ryan Fritz trying to make it another Fritz sweep of the weekend. But again, would be another 1-2, two of the different drivers. So William Rasmussen, who really had a great opportunity, is looking to win the week with this win. Stood on the podium for race 1, but a P1 result here in the flipped grid would absolutely have him walking away with the top dollar. And we can already see he's been on the attack so hard tonight, Sauger. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities to defend. That battle earlier on with Chris Lovell has certainly taught him how to do the do-si-do here at the Bend. But is it enough against the guy who's proven so much pace in these V8 supercars? Here we go with a look to the inside into the final corner. He'll have to go very shallow to get it done. William trying to slide to make the comeback, not enough. And Ryan Fritz gets back to the point.
Amazing, but it's not all done and dusted yet. Ryan and William going after it towards the entrance of corner number 1. William on the inside line gets the move secured back through turn number 1. And now this is all bringing Aaron Fritz back into the pack battle. And we've got a three-way squabble of what we saw earlier. And this will be very interesting as we approach the 7-minute mark with just a handful of laps remaining. We saw 10 laps of running last time out. That means we've got 4 more laps left to go. Ryan trying to work his way the long way around the outside of William, or at least set himself up for a run going through the quadruple right-hander, but it won't be enough as Aaron is close on the heels, nipping away at the rear wing of his own brother.
Just because you've got that momentum doesn't mean you necessarily need to find a place to put it. Going into the outside leaves yourself so exposed to the guy behind, especially in that hairpin right there. So maybe smarter to just stay in the tracks of this young driver, William Rasmussen, and set yourself up for a position to overtake in the back straight. We'll try to go around the long way. Gets into the bumper of Rasmussen. A little bit of a nudge there will try and help to get him through. Here comes Aaron with a dive to the inside. No change at the lead, but the Fritz is nearly changing for position. And just like that, Chris Lovell starts to enter the chat.
Really good looking battle right now. P1, 2, 3, and 4, all within 2 seconds of the lead right now. It is still anybody's ball game, and we have seen big mistakes happen on the penultimate lap. We've seen mistakes happen on the final lap of these Holden cars. This will be very interesting as we approach turn number 1 for the 7th time of asking tonight. Will Aaron and Ryan work together? It doesn't look like it. Ryan towards the inside line trying to go for a move, and William escapes with his life. Aaron regains P2 right now, but Ryan's not done with this conversation. Tries to set up the switchback, gets that one secured, but we all know that the inside line turns into the outside line for the following corner, and it won't be enough. Ryan still unable to get one done on Aaron. Aaron out in the P2 right now is looking pretty good for his pace and momentum, and he's going to get a crack at William next.
That was a white knuckle moment into turn number 1, nearly clipped your race leader, but is now thrilled to see the two Fritzes go at it in his rearview mirrors. That's given him just a little bit of cushion now to push up ahead. The exact same 4-pack we saw in race number 1, but a completely flipped order. Well, not unfortunately for Chris Lovell, who once again finds himself kind of on the outside of this picture, but again, has studied these 3 drivers more than anybody else tonight. And if anyone is able to find a way through, it's going to be that man in 4th in the number 2 machine. We'll see what he can do. And he is overdriving, trying to work his way to the front. A major wiggle there coming out of turn number 13, the right-handed kink. And now we tighten things up. We see so much of getting the nonverbals of the car. How are you able to handle the more tight technical sections of this race course? Not great for William Rasmussen, starting to bring Aaron and Ryan back into the mix. You got Aaron right there coming into the final corner. How's that line looking for William here with 4 minutes to go? Clean as a whistle, doesn't even drop a wheel in the grass. But Ryan and Aaron in lockstep all the way to the inside of the racetrack with 4 minutes to go. Here comes Aaron Fritz to the high side. Not a lot of times we've seen this try and be done, but all the way around the outside. Done deal for Aaron Fritz to get to the point.
Really good looking overtake. Came from a long way back as well, did Aaron Fritz. But he made that one work on William Rasmussen, leading down and towards corner number 1. But again, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and she ain't singing just yet. We still got 3.5 minutes remaining on the clock. William Rasmussen trying to go for it and runs into the back of Aaron Fritz, and that will conclude their pair of running right now. And it'll be up to Ryan and Chris Lovell right now for P1 and P2.
So all of a sudden, that drops us down to 2, and Chris Lovell, who walked away without a podium to his name about an hour ago, has a chance to walk away with the night. Ryan Fitz, your runner-up, wants to be one position better for the evening. And you've got a major underdog in P2 just behind Aaron and Christopher. Struggling now, William Rasmussen taking it back to the pits. Heartbreak for the other two that were in contention here, but this becomes an all-out duel of aluminum for the win tonight and for victory in race 2. As we start to get to this crunch time in this first season of the Pro Series, it's been a runaway for this man in the lead so far. Your leader in wins by and large, but Chris Lovell just behind, looking for an opportunity to punch that ticket to the grand final at Tustin in just a couple weeks' time. 2 minutes to go here from the Bend.
And Chris Lovell performed extremely well during our endurance event at Bahrain just a couple of nights ago. It's great to see him back on the podium one more time here with World of Racing, this time for the Pro Series Championship. And he's doing very well for himself tonight to keep his nose clean. He may not have had the outright pace to clinch the win, but he's still doing very well to keep it clean, calm, cool, and collected on the penultimate lap of this event. Only 4/10 off of Ryan currently, and the gap doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, does it, Jackson?
Certainly not. It continues to get spicy here as Ryan's still holding this lead, but man, you have got Chris Lovell right in striking position, and it has been a almost 40-minute long study session of this man out in front. But we know how difficult it is for Ryan to crack under pressure. Existing in the rear bumper of that 7 is not going to be enough. It's going to take a lot to force a mistake. You need to find the pace in that number 2 Holden and find a way through. This is going to be a prime opportunity to do it. One of the fastest parts of the racetrack before things get tight. That's where Ryan has struggled in the past. We saw that chink in the armor a couple weeks ago at Twin Ring Motegi. And he is just going to have one more opportunity here as we will get the white flag next time by. Lovell versus Ryan Fritz.
And I'm looking at the timing tower as Aaron and Christopher are not close on the track together, but inverted positions for just a brief moment. Excuse that glitch in the system as Chris now trying to go for a move to the inside line, going in towards turn number 1, and he will lick the stamp and he will send it, but he'll get a kiss in the rear end from Ryan Fritz, who's going to carry the speed a long way around the outside and give Chris a little bump in the rear end to hurry up and go. And Chris Lovell can't do anything to retort that statement.
And the turn that has been seemingly such a prime position for moves has bitten back so many drivers, whether it's the inside or the outside. It's actually been a big lockup from Chris there coming into turn number 6. That gives a lot of momentum, a lot of energy towards Ryan in this fight. Only a handful of opportunities left. The long right-handed sweepers of 7 to 10 will set us up for it. Now things get technical again. Ryan with a hard-fought battle. Another drive to the front made it stick around the outside into turn number 1 to take the lead of this race just 5 minutes ago, and will continue to pave his way to a first Pro Series championship if he's able to hold it for just a couple more corners. That's a prime overtaking opportunity and a big slide from Ryan Fritz as we work our way into 17, is somehow able to save it, but Ryan just nip and tuck, trying to close that gap. It's going to take a monumental error and a colossal send from Chris Lovell if he's got any chance of getting it done. The right-handed hairpin of turn number 16 being the last true opportunity out of the penultimate corner into the final kink. Ryan Fritz once again against all odds has fought his way tooth and nail to the point and takes the race to win here at the Bend.
Followed by Chris Lovell in P2, then Aaron Fritz in P3, Christopher in P4 will cross the line. Following that will be Ali, who's just 3 seconds off the good in 5th place. Hard fought battle for Andrew Janis for heat number 2, and Cody as well in 7th place. Timothy in 8th, Spencer in 9th, and they're going to drag to the line, it looks like. And that would be a lapper, of Dylan, who is racing there, but all's good in love and war. Spencer in 9th place, Clay in 10th with Gerson on 11th, Jeffrey in 12th, Dylan, William, and Troy rounding out the 15 participants.
What a duel to get things done here for race number 2. And unfortunately, the Ryan reign will continue for the other 14 trying to walk away and make things different. And that makes it another Fritz sweep for victory. And this duo continues to punch their way to the front. Ryan Tokyo drifting his way back to the pit lane, laughing all the way to the bank here to get that victory. Oh yeah, baby, let it hang. Let's take you back to the Global Broadcast Center, presented by Sigma Integrales Motion Systems, to start and get things wrapped up here from another week of Pro Series. Let's wait, because I'm just watching Ryan continue to slide this thing. Oh my God. Full oppo coming into 16. And these VB Commodores do not have handbrakes, but with how much he's letting it stick out, you might imagine they would. And matter of fact, these actually being very popular platforms for drift cars. Mad Mike Whittet using a rotary swapped Holden at some point for a drift car. So not surprising that we are getting him slid. But that's your race 2 winner, Ryan Fritz. And let's send it back over to the broadcast booth to start wrapping things up. As we welcome you back, Sagar Bakshi and Jackson Lambros starting to pack things up here from another week. And Sagar, it certainly felt like a night that was separating the boys from the men when it came to no assists, the more aggressive melee we saw there. But boy, for those 4 out in front, what a fight.
It was definitely akin to some great TCR racing that you'd see globally on any platform. This was an amazing event. The battle between Ryan and Chris getting down to the wickets at the very end. The send from William and Aaron down to the last couple of laps, super phenomenal. The overtaking opportunities that presented themselves early on in this race, with William leapfrogging his way all the way up into P2 there for just a few moments in time. It was all coming together for an amazing event tonight, Jackson.
Really, really great drive from everybody in the field in the top 4. I mean, was certainly keeping us entertained up here in the broadcast booth. But we start to set the scene for the grand finale here from Tustin, and about one more normal race again. Going to take that break next week for Halloween, and then we go to our next car track combo, which, Sagar, I don't know if you have it off rip right now, but if not, I can go ahead and announce that for everybody here in the centers.
I do have it, or I did have it for just a few moments. Why don't you go ahead and announce it?
I'm putting you on the spot. That's on me. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 1-week break, and then we head back to the States. We go to Pittsburgh International Race Complex and go back to a car that a lot of us are familiar with. We ran at Fuji just a couple weeks ago, about a month and a half ago. It's the Ferrari 296 GT3.
Really amazing car, and that'll be an interesting track combo as well. The Pro Series has always come and delivered amazing combinations for the drivers to be tested at. And next week, well, the following week after that, excuse me, on November 3rd, will be nothing short of spectacular, Jackson.
So going back to a lot of electronic suites to lean on, and as veteran ACC players, we know how much we drivers love that 296 for the reason of you've got that migrating brake system, you've got that F1 inspired clutch grab, you've got so many benefits to you in that system. That's going to be a lot to look out for. Pittsburgh International Race Complex, that's going to be a stranger to a lot of these drivers. And unfortunately, it's going to be very much like a lot of the tracks we see in Assetto Corsa, because it is going to be exclusively in the virtual world after the end of 2025. Unfortunately, the ownership of Jim and Kathy Stout announcing just a couple months ago that they will be selling the property. I believe that will become a Amazon processing center, which is heartbreaking for any of the Carters who are joining us. You know how much that's been a major part of WKA, of a lot of regional racing, very similar to the Bend in that it's been a racetrack for a lot of different purposes for a lot of different people. So very, very heartbreaking for a lot of people, especially in that part of the country, who are not going to have a racing circuit anymore. I'm not trying to get the waterworks going here, but that is going to be a phenomenal track car combo. But Sagar, your closing thoughts here after an action-packed night here at the Bend.
Just want to say thank you again for all the watchers, whether you're watching live or in the future. We had a couple of chatters that need to go recognized. Christina Crazy NES Games and Cody Sandifer, I believe. Thank you very much for being here and joining us live in the YouTube chat. And if you're watching in the future, make sure you cheer on your favorite driver for next week.
So been a really good night for us. And again, this world keeps on spinning. We are off next week, but after that, we are right back at it from Pittsburgh International Race Complex for the stampede of Ferraris to set the stage for the grand final just a couple weeks after. That'll do it for us tonight, though. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for our sponsor, Sigma Integrale, and, of course, World of Racing, for letting us come out and geek out about this. We hope you've had as much fun watching and driving as we have had calling it. For everybody at World of Racing and AK Esports UK, he's Sagar Bakshi. I'm Jackson Lambros, thanking you so much for watching and bidding adieu to you from the World of Racing.